Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa salatu salam ala Rasulullah. We continue reading Imam Al-Ghazali's Kitab Sharh Ajaib al-Qalb, The Marvels of the Heart. This is book 21 of Ihya Ulum al-Din, the revival of the religious sciences, of the Islamic sciences, translated by Walter James Skelly. We have reached chapter 2 and an exposition of the armies of the heart. Page 13. God the Exalted has said, and none knows the armies of your Lord except Him. وَمَا يَعْلَمُ جُنُودَ رَبِّكَ إِلَّا هُوَ. For in hearts and spirits, and in other worlds, God, praise be to Him, has armies levied, Junud Mujannada, whose nature and the details of whose number none knows save He. We will now refer to some of the armies of the heart, such as pertain to our purpose. So there are many. You might talk about the wind, which could be enlisted. Just think about the difference between rih and riyah in the Quran. The riyah, lawaqih, pollinating, rih, sarsar, atiyah, is a punishment. So, in the sense that it is a soldier of God, so it could be used. This movement of the air could be used for something, for the benefit of the human being, humanity. But at the same time, one should be wary of the rain. هذا عارض ممطرنا. So, same thing. We don't know the extent of these soldiers, these armies, and one can think about the how the people of the Pharaoh were punished by natural things. They are armies of God. The heart has two armies, an army seen with the eyes, and an army seen only by insight. The heart is a king. The heart is a king, and the armies are as servants and helpers. And this is the meaning of army, jund. Now its army, which is visible to the eye, includes the hand, the foot, the eyes, the eye, the ear, the tongue, and the rest of the members, the rest of the limbs, the rest of the members, both outer and inner. These all serve the heart and are in subjugation. These all serve the heart and are in subjection thereto, and it is the disposition of them and repels for them. They were created with an inherent disposition to obey it, to obey the heart, and cannot disobey it or rebel against it. For if it orders the eye to be opened, it is opened. If it orders the foot to move, it moves. If it orders the tongue to speak and is fully determined in the matter, it speaks. And so also for the rest of the members. Just a reminder, when the heart orders the foot to move, if one is drunk, that movement is slower than people who are not drunk. And this might cause really deadly accidents and vehicular homicide. The subjection of the members and the senses to the heart resembles, from one point of view, the subjection of the angels to God, the Exalted. For they were created with an inherent disposition to obedience, and they cannot disobey Him, they cannot disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They do not disobey God in what He commands them, but do what they are commanded. لا يعصون الله ما أمرهم ويفعلون ما يؤمرون. A short story about this. Once, you know that it could be the case in many parts of the world, but some Palestinians were born in the United States. They continue to live in the United States after the Oslo process. Many Palestinians moved back to Palestine, especially in the Ramallah area, and some schools, English-speaking schools, emerged in the Jerusalem, between Jerusalem and Ramallah, and they are American schools. And the kids studying in these schools are Palestinian American, born in the United States, raised in the United States, whatever is the case for the most part. So one of these schools, the principal and co-owner of the school asked me to address the high school students on Islamic faith, really. And when I obliged, and when I addressed those high school students, I reached in my talk the issue of in Islam we believe in the existence of angels. They have different roles, and I did address this particular issue that the angels worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continuously. They obey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the absolute sense. And one of those youngsters asked me, but what do they do for fun? And that's very American. What do they do for fun? The idea is that if you are a creature, then you must basically spend some time doing something other than your duties, your job, and also it reflects on a deeper level, assuming that worship in itself is not fun. So, and fun here, I'm not talking like it's not a game, okay? But there is something beautiful about worship. In fact, in the hadith of Jibril alayhi salam, in which he showed up, of course, as a without any trace of like there's no impact of traveling, there is no sign of being traveling, and the companions did not know him. This is the hadith of Sayyidina Umar ibn al-Khattab, and he approached the Prophet ﷺ until his knees faced the knees of the Prophet ﷺ. They were next to each other, and he asked the Prophet ﷺ a few questions. He asked him about Islam, he asked him about Iman, you know, all these things, and then he asked him about Ihsan. And Ihsan in the hadith, أن تعبد الله كأنك تراه فإن لم تكن تراه فإنه يراك. So really worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as if you see him, for if you don't see him, he sees you. Why the word Ihsan then? Okay, already it is included in Islam. It was included in in Iman, uh, but definitely in the forms of worship. Ihsan is from husn, and really it's about doing things to a degree of excellence, of beauty. Okay, that's what it is. There is, however, to continue reading, there is, however, this one difference: the angels, alayhim salam, know their own obedience and conformity, whereas the eyelids obey the heart in opening and closing because they are in subjection to it. And they have no knowledge of themselves, nor of their obedience to the heart. The heart needs these armies because of its need for a vehicle and for provision for that journey for which it was created, the journey to God, praise be to Him, and for passing through its stages, the manazil, until he is met face to face, until you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For this cause, hearts were created, as God the Exalted has said, I have not created the jinn and humans save that they may worship me. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. So uh, the universe facilitates this vicegerency of the human being. So the human being is Khalifa. This is not the political office. Far from it. Politics is, but not the politics that we see today. So the role of the human being, this vicegerency, is to uh, perform in accordance with the revelation, hopefully to the degree of excellence in all human activity. And your basmala, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, sincerely would make that also an act of worship, though this is not a replacement for the religious obligations like the 5 daily prayers, for example, like the almsgiving, like fasting, like Hajj, etc. So one could turn one's life into a life of worship. Again, it doesn't mean that a life of worship, meditating on this universe, finding a quiet spot near a river, in the mountains, near a lake, on the shore, where you would not be distracted by other human beings. I think it's a challenge today, of course, but it's doable. And to ponder upon the universe. وَيَتَفَكَّرُونَ فِي خَلْقِ السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. This tafakkur, this thinking, this pondering, this is an act of worship, inshallah. The vehicle of the heart is the body alone. Its provision is knowledge alone. And the means of attaining the provision for the journey and supplying one's self therewith lie only in righteous acts. It is impossible for the creature to reach God, praise be to Him, except by dwelling in the body and passing through this present world at dunya. For the nearest stage must be passed through, in order that the most distant stage may be attained. This present world is the seedbed, مزرعة الآخرة, of the world to come. You plant here and you harvest there. And it is one of the stages of right guidance, of Huda. It is called nearer, the dunya, only because it is the nearer of the two abodes. The heart must therefore get its supply of provision from this world. The body is its vehicle by which it comes into contact with this world. Thus, the body needs to be cared for and preserved, and is preserved only by procuring for it such food and other things as are suitable for it, and by warding off from it the causes of destruction which are repugnant to it and destroy it. One cannot escape that we might jump and simply lash out at the certain things that are taking place in the West. Say, for example, now that many Western countries legalize the use of marijuana, they sell it openly. It's legal. And the thinking, I remember many years ago that in California, when they attempted it was unsuccessful at the very beginning. They only thought about how much money the state of California could make as taxes, same like tobacco and alcohol. So this is the thinking, how much we can make in terms of taxes, not how much there is destruction. And I think to a certain degree, it's not drug per se, but think about all these cafes now that spread out and all these shops that sell the hookah, the bubbly, the argila. It's spread like wildfire. Of course, the destructive things are not restricted to smoking, but simply it is destructive. The heart thus needs two armies in order to procure food: an internal army, which is the appetite, and an external army, which is the hand and the members that procure food. So the needed appetites are created in the heart, and the members of the body are created, which are the instruments and appetites. Likewise, the heart needs two armies to drive off the things that lead to destruction: an internal army of anger, غضب, by which it drives off an external army, which is the hand and the foot, by which it carries out the dictates of anger. Of course, you talk about the extension of the hand and extension of the foot. This is like in addition. The hand, of course, in the old days, maybe still, a sword is an extension of the hand, just as an example. This is completed by means of things outside of the body, such as weapons and the like. Then, too, the appetite for food and the means of securing it are of no profit to him who needs food as long as he has no knowledge of food. So, in order to gain this knowledge, the heart needs two armies: an internal army, which is the perception of sight, taste, smelling, hearing, and touch; an external army, which is the eye, ear, nose, etc. A detailed account of the need for these and the wisdom in them would be very long, and many volumes would not contain it. We have referred to a small portion of it in the book of patience and thankfulness, and this will suffice. In fact, ultimately, the interpretation, the knowledge of what you are seeing and hearing and smelling, etc. The brain does all the processing. Nerves transfer the knowledge. The senses really the information, and the brain analyze, figures out what's being transferred to it. A detailed account of the need for these and the wisdom in them would be very long, and many volumes would not contain it. We have referred to a small portion of it in the book of patience and thankfulness, and this will suffice. All the armies of the heart are limited to three classes. One class incites and instigates either to obtain that which is profitable and suitable, as for example, appetence, shahwa, or to the ward off that which is harmful and destructive, as for example, anger, ghadab. This impulse may be called the will, irada. The second class is that which moves the members to the attainment of these desired ends, and it is called power, qudra. These are armies which are diffused throughout the rest of the members, especially the muscles and tendons. The third class is that which perceives and gathers information as spies. These include the power of sight, hearing, smell, taste, etc., which are divided among certain appointed members. This is called knowledge, ilm, and perception, idrak. Corresponding to each of these internal armies, there are external armies, which are the physical members. These are made up of fat, flesh, nerve, blood, and bone, which are prepared as the instruments of these armies. Thus, the power to seize lies only in the fingers, the power to see only in the eyes, and so on the other powers. We are not now speaking of the external armies, I mean the physical members, for they belong to the visible material world, but rather of those unseen armies by which the heart is helped. This third class, which alone of this group perceives, is divided into that which is lodged in the outer abodes or the five senses. I mean hearing, sight, smell, taste, and touch, and that which has been lodged in inner abodes, or the ventricles of the brain, which are also five. Um, we know that there are more than five brain cavities, really, if that's really, of course, what Imam Al-Ghazali is referring to. He said tajawi fi dimag, so more the cavities. So we know that there are, one can speak of, from one perspective, of nine cavities. The sinuses, these are cavities too. So we might talk about four cavities, only about the sinuses, but at any rate, So Imam Ghazali has five senses and five skull cavities. The brain itself does not have. We don't talk about, of course, the ideas about the skull. So Imam Ghazali continues by saying, thus, after seeing an object, a man closes his eyes and perceives its image, the surah, within himself. This is the retentive imagination, khayal. This image then remains with him by reason of something which preserves it, which is the army of memory, al-Jund al-Hafid. He then thinks about what he has remembered and combines part with part, after which he calls what he had forgotten, and it comes back to him again. Then he gathers together in his retentive imagination all the meanings of his sense impressions by means of the common, that is shared, sense, his mushtarak. For there are within man common sense, imagination, takhayyul, reflection, tafakkur, recollection, tadakkur, and memory, hifz. Were it not that God created the powers of memory, thought, recollection, and imagination, the brain would be devoid of them, even as in the hand and the leg. Thus, these powers are internal armies, and their seats are internal. Such then are the armies of the heart. It would take a long time to explain this by citing examples so that the understanding of the weak could comprehend it. While our purpose in such a book as this is that the strong and masterful from among the learned can profit thereby. Yet we still strive to make the weak understand by citing examples, so that this is brought within the range of their understanding. We have reached the conclusion of chapter 2. Next is chapter 3, an exposition of the similitudes of the heart and its internal armies. بيان أمثلة القلب مع جنوده الباطنة. That would be in the next session, inshallah. Until then, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن نستغفرك ونتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.